With the 2024 NBA Finals now over, the second kind of lopsided finals matchup in a row definitely had me thinking about the fact that the NBA could use a playoff or seeding change to produce the best games possible throughout the entire postseason. I know most people would call for all teams in the league to be seeded by best regular season record rather than just by conference, and while I think that could be interesting, I'd like to throw a bit of a different idea out there, and that's totally throwing out the Eastern and Western Conference format in favor of conferences similar to the MLB and NFL, where it's not totally based on location. You see, if we look at the length of each NBA Finals series since the year 2000, there have been 3 sweeps, 8 series that have went to 5 games, 10 series that went to 6 games, and only 4 NBA Finals that have gone to 7 games. That might not seem super alarming, but if we look at the entirety of the NBA playoffs since 2000, there have been 74 Game 7s that have taken place, and like mentioned before, only 4 of those series have taken place in the NBA Finals. That doesn't mean a conference realignment or change would yield a Game 7 in every NBA Finals going forward, but some kind of change is clearly needed. One reason I feel optimistic something like this could happen in the future is because Adam Silver has seemed very willing to make changes to old NBA formats or traditions for the sake of giving fans the best product possible. Silver's made numerous attempts to improve the NBA All-Star Game over the years, as he changed the entire format of the All-Star Game itself to include a target score, and he even did away with the East vs. West format, only to return to the traditional 4-quarter and Eastern vs. Western Conference format this past All-Star weekend. In the MLB, they have the American and National Leagues. In the NFL, they have the American Football Conference and National Football Conference. So if we mock up the American Basketball and National Basketball Conferences or leagues, I think they could look something like this. I included both the Seattle Supersonics and a Las Vegas team on here, as it's kind of the NBA's worst kept secret that they will expand the league to both Seattle and Vegas at some point in the near future. Now, realistically, the NBA can rebrand franchises and move them to Seattle and Vegas, similarly to how the Sonics themselves became the OKC Thunder in 2008. They could move 2 teams to the East, like either the Pelicans, Grizzlies, or Timberwolves, or they can make changes to the conferences similar to how I have it shown here. With the NBA already holding the in-season tournament in Las Vegas, with a real estate firm proposing the money for a new Vegas arena, as well as the NBA teasing expansion teams for Seattle and Mexico City as well, the writing's on the wall and it's only a matter of time now. Looking at how the playoffs would shape up with these new conference changes, I decided to make a bracket showing the seeding and matchups here, and one thing I did notice is the 16 teams that made it in the 2024 postseason would have still been here regardless of the conference realignment. And to be honest, I think we would have ended up with better playoff matchups with these new conferences rather than the matchups that we got. In the National Conference, a Lakers and Celtics first-round matchup would have been really entertaining. A Bucks-Knicks series would have been lots of fun if the Bucks were healthy. Ant versus Zion in round 1 would have been a lot of fun too, but of course Zion was injured, so I'm not sure if you want to consider that. And of course, I think the young OKC Thunder against this year's 76ers team would have been a very physical and entertaining matchup to watch. On the American Conference side of things, let's just say hypothetically they made this conference change this past season. We would have gotten a finals rematch in the first round of the playoffs, which definitely could have been cool. The Clippers, who would have been banged up facing the Pacers, definitely could have been in for a scare, as we saw the Pacers themselves knock out an injured Bucks team in the 2024 postseason. The battle of the young guys like Paolo Banchero and Luka definitely would have been fun as hell to watch also, and Phoenix would have had a much more favorable matchup in the first round in my opinion, facing the Cavs rather than having to face the T-Wolves. Now, I went ahead and filled in this bracket and just based it off of what I think would happen based on how these teams looked in this past postseason, as well as how these teams looked when they faced one another in the regular season. If we take a look at some of the changes that I think would have happened, I think Phoenix would have beaten the Cavaliers opposed to getting swept in the first round by the Timberwolves, as the Suns match up much better against the Cavs in my eyes, and they also did sweep the season series against the Cavs also. I have the Nuggets beating the Mavericks to make it to the NBA Finals, as I believe the T-Wolves front court along with Ant's high level of play was why the Nuggets didn't end up in the NBA Finals, because I think if they would have faced the Mavs, Jokic could have had his way against the Mavs big men. Dereck Lively is such a great player, especially coming off the bench as a rookie, but I do think he wouldn't have been able to stop Jokic. And believe it or not, I think that the Nuggets would have went for a repeat this past season, as the Nuggets swept their season series against the Celtics, and I think Jokic would have had his way against both Horford and Porzingis in the limited games that Porzingis played due to injury. So yes, a conference realignment would have changed who was named the 2024 NBA champions in my opinion. So yes, of course, I do think a conference shakeup or realignment is the best thing possible for the NBA. There's of course going to come times where the two best teams face off prior to the NBA Finals, or some of the best playoff matchups of course happen prior to the NBA Finals also. But think about how many times a playoff series other than the Finals ends up being arguably the best series of that entire postseason. Some of the ones that immediately come to mind are the Nets and Bucks 2021 series, the Nuggets and Jazz series from the first round in 2020, the Celtics and Bulls first round series in 2009 that saw 4 games go into at least 1 quarter of overtime, including a triple OT game in Game 5. And of course, the 2001 second round series between the Sixers and Raptors, where Vince Carter missed a game winner in Game 7. Ironically enough, 18 years later when the Raptors and Sixers faced each other in the 2019 playoffs, you could argue that was the best series of that entire postseason, and Kawhi's Game 7 game winner kinda made up for Vince's miss in 2001. This year's finals most likely would have been between the Nuggets and Celtics if the league was set up this way, with these conferences, and honestly, after watching the 2024 finals, I'd much prefer that matchup opposed to the one we got. With a Las Vegas expansion team on the horizon, the potential for both Seattle and Mexico City to end up with NBA teams, and both the NBA All-Star Game and Finals starting to feel a bit watered down, I think changes really are needed and hopefully are on the horizon. I really have enjoyed the NBA playoffs as a whole for almost every season over, say, the last 10 years, but it feels like when the finals begin, it just doesn't consistently feel like much of an even series anymore, and I think future changes really can improve the NBA Finals level of competitiveness. I really hope you guys enjoyed this bit of a different video though, and if you did, then please give it a like and leave a comment down below on anything we talked about here today, and let me know if you'd like to see a simulated expansion draft in the future, because I've definitely had thoughts about doing something like that. Anyway though, thank you guys so much for watching, and I am out. Peace.